Morning. Slightly different scene today, but we're continuing in Isaiah, and we're going to look at Isaiah chapter 29, which has got a mixture of things, including judgment. Woe to you, Ariel, Ariel, the city where David settled, and year to year let your cycle of festivals go on. Just before we start to talk about the passage itself, I remember many years ago someone told me a story of someone who was having an allergic skin reaction. They couldn't work out what on earth it was. And then someone gave them this passage in Isaiah, Woe to you, Ariel, Ariel. And it was the washing up powder that was causing the rash. Anyway, on to more serious matters. Yet I will besiege Ariel. She will mourn, Ariel, which actually is here representing Jerusalem. She will mourn and lament. She will be like an altar hearth. I will encamp against you on all sides. I will encircle you with towers and set up my siege works against you. Brought low, you will speak from the ground, your speech will mumble out of the dust, and your voice will come ghost-like from the earth. Out of the dust your speech will whisper. And this is, at least in the immediate context, looking to the time which was going to come very soon when Assyria would besiege Jerusalem. And notice it says then, verse 3, I will encamp against you. Now, of course, it was the Assyrian army that was encamping against Jerusalem. And we always tend to think of things like either God does it or man does it. If you look at the Bible, you get a rather different picture. God does it. God is involved in all things. But we also have responsibility in all things. That is a much more biblical picture of things. It says, but your enemies will become like fine dust. The ruthless hordes will like blown chaff. Suddenly, in an instant, the Lord will come with thunder and an earthquake and a great noise, with windstorm and tempest and flames of devouring fire. Then the hordes of all the nations that fight against Ariel, that attack her and her fortress besiege her, will be as it is with a dream, with a vision in the night, as when a hungry person dreams of eating but awakens still hungry, as when a thirsty person dreams of drinking but awakens faint and thirsty still. So it will be with the hordes of all the nations that fight against Mount Zion. And this is what happened with Assyria. They got to the gates, the walls of Jerusalem, but then were miraculously defeated. And it also, we can see it pointing forward to Armageddon, when all the nations of the world come against Jerusalem. But they will be defeated on that day. Be stunned and amazed, blind yourselves and be sightless, be drunk but not with wine, stagger but not from beer. The Lord has brought over you a deep sleep. He has sealed your eyes, the prophets, covered your heads, the seers. The people were blind to what God was doing. But this whole vision is nothing but words sealed in a scroll. And if you give the scroll to someone who can read and say, read this, they will answer, I can't, it's sealed. Or if you give the scroll to someone who cannot read and say, read this, they will say, I don't know how to read. People often say that God hasn't told us or hasn't made himself clear enough. The problem does not lie with God, it lies with us. These people come near to me with their mouth and honour me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. There is a pretense of religion, but no reality. And going to verse 16, it says, you turn things upside down as if the potter were thought to be like the clay. Shall what is formed say to the one who formed it, you did not make me? Can the pot say to the potter, you know nothing? But isn't that how the world so often treats God? I mean, we really are daft, aren't we? We didn't bring ourselves into existence. We didn't bring the universe into existence. We had no say on the day that we were born. And yet we think that we know everything. We say there cannot be a God. How daft. But then we get a sudden change. Verse 17, in a very short time will not Lebanon be turned into a fertile field? And the fertile field seemed like a forest. In that day the deaf will hear the words of the scroll, and out of gloom and darkness the eyes of the blind will see. Once more the humble will rejoice in the Lord, the needy will rejoice in the Holy One of Israel. The ruthless will vanish, the mockers will disappear, and all who have an eye for evil will be cut down. Those who with a word make someone out to be guilty, who ensnare the defender in court, and with false testimony deprive the innocent of justice. Therefore this is what the Lord who redeemed Abraham says to the descendants of Jacob. No longer will Jacob be ashamed, no longer will their faces grow pale. When they see among them their children the work of my hands, they will keep my name holy. They will acknowledge the holiness of the Holy One of Jacob. They will stand in awe of the God of Israel. Those who are wayward in spirit will gain understanding. Those who complain will accept instruction. Do you see that massive change? Which we've seen a number of times already. And it's typical of the book of Isaiah. There's there's just utter horror, hopelessness, helplessness because of all the sin and all the judgment. But then we get a sudden change into these last 7 or 8 verses of salvation and joy. We need both. We need to accept the judgment side, and we need to look forward to the salvation side. And look at that last verse. Gone on a bit longer than normal today, but let's just briefly at this last verse, then we'll call a halt. Those who are wayward in spirit will gain understanding. Those who complain will accept instruction. Are there not people that you know who you just give up on? Oh, they're a lost cause. Are there not times when we think these things of ourselves, think, oh Lord, I'm hopeless. I'm never going to learn. Hey, those who are wayward in spirit will gain understanding. Those who complain will accept instruction. And on that note, I'll stop.